We've just been so busy just being with Dad and getting ready for this. And it was literally last night at like 6 or 7, and Mom, I said, I just think I'm gonna wing what I'm gonna say today. And I thought about it a little bit. I talked to my brother, and we were both, I think too, it's a lot of pressure following Dad, because Dad always gave like the best talks ever. So it's a tough act to follow. And Mom said, well, why don't you just like do a poem? Because I've done that in a couple different occasions, and I thought, well, I've already done that. And I was like, oh, what the hell? And so at like 7 last night, I started writing. And somehow, it's just easier to convey thoughts in rhyme. So not that there's any reason for it, but I have written, as a McWilliams, we tend to do things atypically. So I've written a poem, and it'll take a little while to get through, but hopefully it'll be meaningful or something. So here goes, Dad. In this great room, we all gather today to celebrate Steve McWilliams in a most special way. And as any true-blooded McWilliams child should, I won't quibble with tears, for that just would not be good. For Dad wasn't the fondest of public displays of weepy, sad feelings on life's bluer days. And Dad never would want this occasion to be sad, dreary, or depressing. He would want lots of glee. Because really, think hard. Stephen kicked lots of butt. He did groovy, cool things while acting much like a nut. Sure, some folks may wallow and bum themselves out, but Dad's life makes me want to climb up on rooftops and shout. Because rare is the person who can accomplish so much while being kind, fun, and caring with so many lives touched. There are countless great stories about things Dad would do. Oh, they might sound far-fetched, but they're surprisingly true. For example, Dad spent years pranking his co-working folks, arriving at work oh so early for a sneaky fun joke. He would take out the creamer from the kitchenette space and tighten it tightly. Then back in the cabinet he'd place. Then his co-workers shuffled in for their morning cup of joe. Dad would listen, delighted, to the chatter to and fro, while these brilliant men pondered the molecular configuration that causes overnight jar tightening, and in total frustration, they would all scratch their heads and ponder day after day, year after year, and not a word Dad would say. Oh no, he was quite content to watch these goofy guys be befuddled each morning, Dad's inner prankster grand prize. And as if that's not enough to describe my Dad's wacky ways, there's another Steve story from one of my favorite days. Dad and I were in Brooklyn. Mom was cooking us dinner, and she needed something to make our meal a real winner. So he and I headed out to get lots of things on our list: mayonnaise, salad dressing, toilet paper, you get the gist. And as we laid out the items on the counter to pay, Dad looked straight at the clerk, and this is what he did say. As serious as taxes, he touched the TP with bliss and said, "Is this enough toilet paper for all the rest of this?" Without cracking a smile from that crazy nut brain, he kept staring at the clerk, who thought Dad must be insane. And there are a million more moments like this I enjoyed. I feel sorry for the rest of the world's girls and boys, because they didn't get to have a dad quite like this. A dad that was magical, mischievous, with a slightly weird twist. A dad who invented great things and had a career of prestige, learning chemistry by age 8 and E=mc² with great ease. Yeah, he's basically a freak of nature with talents galore. There's not a thing he couldn't fix, and his photography you'd adore. He was a pilot, an inventor, an electrical engineer, and a distinguished team member of his AT&T Bell Lab peers. He loved music and fishing and blowing up this and that. Fireworks were a favorite. He loved dogs, birds, and cats. And Dad never once met a stranger. Chatting up any old folk, he could converse with a king, with a hobo, with the Pope. With an entrepreneur spirit, he dreamed big and dreamed bold. This was no typical mere mortal. He's a soul that's most old. But many don't know this about one of my dad's favorite things. He was the king of self-help, studying all psychological things. He was reading about Zen and how to think and grow rich. Being that darn enlightened surely must have been a bitch. For example, when I went off to college in good old NYC, Mom and Dad would send care packages that made my friends want to pee. Because instead of sweet goodies or homemade yummy treats, I would open the box and say, oh geez, oh Pete. Inside were cassettes filled with topics about self-reflection and how to be a good person. But I still must mention that Mom also helped to fill those boxes as the alpha female, filling the rest of the package with lots of tin cans of kale. Yeah, it was far, far from normal to have the McWilliams last name. For every person who doesn't have it, it's just a crying darn shame. You've missed out, I must tell you, not to make you feel bad, but simply to highlight what a spectacular dad I did have. Dad dreamed of making a difference and changing the planet. I only wish we could take all that inspiration and can it, because if everyone could get a dose of that kind of desire, what a world it would be. There'd be peace. We'd reach higher. Many don't know that every week he tutored poor inner city kids, teens who had very little, but Dad had so much to give. And sure, there were some things that Dad still wanted to do, like rob a small bank and smoke a doobie or two. He actually did that, but are there any cops in? Okay. But so many of the things Dad had already wanted, had always wanted to do are my very same dreams that have already come true. Because Dad taught me how to put mind over matter. Miracles are quite easy when inner limits are shattered. It started 17 long years ago when life became most profound, and Dad was diagnosed with the worst kind of brain tumor around. Then the well-meaning doctors shook their heads all around, saying, get your things all in order, soon you'll be 6 feet underground. But what you think, you create. So Dad refused to think sick. And he healed the tumor he did, oh so fast, oh so quick. Dad just looked at the docs with a mild bit of pity. He knew they were all wrong and their advice most shitty. Dad had a wise inner knowing and zero intention of taking things lying down, and he did his own intervention. Because even when all the doctors throughout all the land poo-pooed Dad's will to live as he took a rare ballsy stand, he believed, he stood strong, and laid out his own plan. He did self-hypnosis and meditation as only Steve can. He completely cured a rare condition that no one survives. When all the other folks kicked the bucket, Dad just decided to thrive. Maybe we misdiagnosed him, the doctors all scratched their heads. No one lives from this thing. This man ought to be dead. But if that's not impressive, he got the same tumor again, and he cured it a second time, right back in the old mend. So the only thing sad about this celebration today is that other people don't know how to live in this way. I think Dad's here to show us just what we all can do if we open up and put ourselves in those big old Steve shoes. So for today or tomorrow, how about try on this phrase? What would Steve do right now? It could be the next craze. And lucky me, I got 17 years with the world's bestest dad, hands down some of the most precious years that I've had. And while Dad's life was spectacular enough for this rhyming rant, there's someone he'd want me to mention, not his mom, not his aunt. It's his wife of 50 years. The Judy mom by his side, because none of this would be possible without their close-knit life ride. While Dad may get the credit for many wild and wonderful things, without her support and green smoothies, no telling what life would bring. She's as loyal and determined and as dedicated as they come. She is the wind beneath the wings. He's the earth, she's her sun. Dad adored her and was content to spend all of his days following her like a puppy dog in a love-drunken haze. And that kind of close bond is something I rarely see. It's what inspires my life, the kind of person I want to be. So to me, the celebration is not of one life, but two. Because without each of them, I don't know what I would do. So it's worth raising a glass to toast these two rare gems, the people I am proud to call my parents, my family, my friends. Hip hip hooray for Judy, hip hip hooray for Steve. This is a blessed celebration and makes me still believe that love is forever. And it's a bond you can't break. It's the most precious of things. For granted we must not ever take. And if that sounds woo-woo or a bit airy-fairy, I send you one of Dad's most famous big fat raspberries. If any of you didn't get to see one of Dad's raspberries, you really have not lived. It's his favorite. For today is not about endings, it's about a whole new beginning. And if Martin Sheen were here right now, he'd agree that today, Dad is winning. In fact, Dad made it quite clear that he's still around since he's passed. Oh, the funny stories I could tell you. Dad is still quite the gas. So if you think that he's gone and no more seeds he can sow, you've got another thing coming. I call this Dad 2.0. Here's one fun example from late on the night Dad had passed. One example of many, all because Mom had asked. I want proof, Steve McWilliams, with my own eyes I must see. A light bulb blown in this house. No, not just one, I want 3. So Mom and I snuggled up to watch a bit of TV, and in one of the very first scenes, those bulbs blew 1, 2, 3. Doubting Thomas? I get it, I was once Thomas too, but there are mysteries in life that I once never knew. Catch me later tonight, there's more I can say about the 40-some other odd things that happened that day. So just as I am sure, as the stars up in the sky, Dad is right here in this room with those sparkling blue eyes. He's with us. We're together, always till the end. Love is what's most truly matters. There's no time it can bend. So smile at this celebration of a most beautiful life. No sadness, regret, or loss. They cut the heart like a knife. Just get your butt out there and live at 100%. Don't sweat the small stuff like taxes or paying the rent, because this life is fleeting. It's no one's permanent home. There is a bigger place waiting no matter where you might roam. So tonight, grab a dictionary and look up the word celebrate. You'll see a picture of Dad, a man that is wise, kind, and great. 3 cheers for Steve McWilliams. Toast him red, white, and blue. But no words say it better than Dad, I love you.